Hey guys, it's Carly, and today I wanted to share with you a quick card making process video as I make a shaker with the Simon Says Stamp Bold Scandinavian Floral Die Set. So I'm starting with an A2 panel of heavyweight white cardstock, and since I was so excited to start this card, I didn't even finish cutting the dies apart, but I'm using the negative space, the negative die cut, for my shaker windows, so that part won't matter, and I'm going to cut it 3 times from this panel to make all my shaker windows. And by not cutting it apart yet, I got all these cool layers that I can save for another card front. So after doing the die cutting, then I'm going to grab another panel, and this one I'm going to ink blend because this is going to be the background. And the reason I die cut the shaker windows first is so that I can use them as a guide to make sure that I've got enough coverage of my color and the blend that I like and all that good stuff. So just to make sure that my background is perfect, how it's going to show through my windows. After finishing the background, I decided I wanted to add some more layers from the Bold Scandinavian Floral set. And so I just die cut it from white scrap, so I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I decided I wanted it to be black, and instead of grabbing black cardstock and die cutting again, I just put it down onto a grip mat and ink blended it really quick to add color. After finishing all of my flower middles, it's time to make my shaker pouch. And I've been collecting leftover packaging from like stamps and die sets, stencils, stuff like that, and just holding on to it, seeing if maybe I can reuse it sometime. And this is one of the easy ways to reuse it. So I'm going to cut down the packaging. I'm cutting off like the top hanging tab, the bottom with the adhesive, and then I'm going to just gently pull it apart till I have just a single layer of the plastic. Once I've got that single layer of plastic, I'm going to put it down on my craft mat. I'm going to take that dry ink blended background, put it face down on there, and then put some strong double-sided tape on the edges. Now once I've got the tape on, I can kind of trim the corners off the plastic to make it fold nicer, remove the liner paper from the tape, and fold that plastic up. I'll do that on the bottom and both sides to create a pocket that leaves the top open. And besides being a good way to reuse plastic waste in your craft room, this is also a great way to make a really slim shaker card. So there's no foam tape and there's no real dimension to build up that shaker. There's just this thin plastic. So these are super easy to mail. I love them. So now my shaker pocket is made, but it's open on top, and so I can fill it. So I'm going to grab some sequins and then just give it a squeeze to kind of separate the shaker plastic from the background and fill it. And then I'm just going to fold it over and hold it all together so I can make sure I have enough sequins. I obviously don't, so I'm going to add some more. I just don't want to add too many that it makes it really bulky. This is the beauty of this slim shaker with the plastic, so I just don't want too many in there. And then I'm going to seal it with some more of that double-sided tape. So I'm just going to cut a piece and put it on the back and leave the liner paper on. And then I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but I ripped a little bit of the plastic off the corner, which is fine because it doesn't show through any of my shaker windows, but I'm just going to seal it with another piece of tape just to make sure that no sequins come spilling out of my card. Now next I want to add my sentiments. I do have a die cut sentiment, but I want to have a little stamp sentiment underneath it. Before I commit to stamping on my card front, I've got my panel in my MISTI with a piece of acetate on top. So I can ink up the stamp and stamp it on the acetate to make sure I like where it's positioned, to make sure it's straight, all that kind of good stuff. It's a test run. And if I don't like it, I can move the stamp around, try again. If I do like it, I can just clean off that acetate, get it out of the way, and then ink up my stamp and stamp again onto my project. This is my favorite hack for getting your stamped sentiments positioned correctly. It has saved me so many times on projects, and that's why I show it in almost every video, because it's seriously such a card saver. I made so many mistakes before I figured out how to test it first. And this time I do like where it's at. I like how it looks. So I just got that acetate out of the way, and like I said, I'm inking up the stamp and stamping again, this time onto my project. And now it's time to assemble. So I'm going to grab my shaker window panel that's all stamped now, and I'm going to put some liquid glue on the back. I'm using liquid glue because it's going to give me a little more time and wiggle room to make sure when I put it down onto my shaker pocket that I have there, that everything is lined up and perfect. Next come the flower middles, so I'm using liquid glue again to adhere them to the plastic, so they'll be in the middle of the shaker windows. After I get them stuck down, I'm just going to set those acrylic blocks on top for a minute just to make sure everything is really good and stuck down before I move on to cutting off some extra pieces from the edges, right? So I've got those flowers that are hanging off the edge, and I'm just going to use scissors to snip off the extra. So then comes the die cut sentiment. It's the Simon Says stamp, Simply Thank You, and I'm just using the liquid glue to adhere it over my stamp sentiment. And then lastly, I couldn't resist. I love a little bit of black splatter, but I don't trust myself with actual paint or ink, so I always just use a pen and fake it. I just dot it on there. Now, after that's all finished, you can adhere this whole entire thing to a folded card and it's ready to mail. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great day that involves something crafty, and I hope to see you here again soon. Happy crafting, guys!